Let's face it, the world of traditional publishing has changed. It's not like it was 100 years ago when Margaret Mitchell sent in a handwritten copy of Gone with the Wind and the editor decided to publish it. It's not like it was 60 plus years ago when an editor with vision who worked for a traditional publishing house discovered Harper Lee and turned her book To Go Set a Watchman into To Kill a Mockingbird. It's not even like it was 25 years ago when a publishing house decided to take a chance on an unknown single mother's work and publish Harry Potter. Publishing has changed, traditional publishing especially. And while it's easy to blame the internet, this change actually started way before that. If you're interested in the history of publishing and why it is the way it is now and what it is now, stay tuned. Hi Novelteers, I'm Devlin Blake, novel writing, self-publishing expert, coach, published author, and former ghostwriter of 200 books. If you're interested in writing a novel, check out my Novel Writers Club at the link below. But now, let's talk more about traditional publishing. Once upon a time, the Industrial Revolution happened. It was the second biggest publishing revolution in all of human history, the first being the Gutenberg printing press of the 1400s. The Industrial Revolution brought with it cheap paper and ink, along with the rise of literacy. This gave rise to the mass market paperback, the comics, and the pulps. And funny thing is that a lot of people said the mass market paperback was going to ruin reading, and that did not happen. So, moving on, back then the publishers got a handful of submissions, and they chose the best ones to publish. Back then, only 1 in 10 books had a chance to hit it big. Publishers knew this and accepted the risk. After all, publishing houses didn't focus on selling to people in those days, and they really still don't. They sell to bookstores. This is why books can reach bestseller lists without actually selling a lot of books to people, even today. But the publishers really weren't accepting the risks of the books. The bookstores were. And we'll talk about that more in a moment. Because before that happened, typewriters happened. They became mainstream. And as more people learned to type, the submissions to publishers turned from a stream into a flood. So publishing houses started only reading the first chapter instead of the whole book to decide who to publish. And then something happened that shook the world of traditional publishing. The bookstores revolted. They were sick of taking the risk on these new writers, being forced to buy hundreds and in some cases thousands of copies of books they were never going to sell. So they told the publishing houses, in no uncertain terms, that they wanted a way to return unsold books. Now, books are really heavy to return, and this is where the concept of a stripped book came from. Bookstores would send back the covers and then were contractually obligated to destroy the rest, which is why it's illegal to sell a stripped book. Now, with the brunt of the risk being shifted to the publishing houses instead of the bookstore, this cut into publishing house profits, and they didn't like that one bit. Suddenly, they could no longer afford to take a chance on so many new writers. 1 out of 10 making it is not great odds. Not to them. So they had to choose the ones that they thought would sell the best. And then word processors happened, which turned submissions from a flood to a deluge. Publishing houses became even stricter, not even reading past the first few pages in most cases, let alone a whole chapter. Then the internet happened. Creepypastas happened. Fanfiction happened. And in 2007, Kindle happened, and that changed everything. With Kindle came the ability to self-publish and be seen as equal to a traditionally published book. It was a game changer to the author, but it also shook the publishing world right off its axis. Now, instead of just competing against other publishing houses, they had to compete against all these self-published books too, which for the very first time in human history pose a very real threat to their business model. So, away went the editors looking for a diamond in the rough. Away went the people willing to read a whole page of a book. Away went the publisher's tolerance for new, different, or experimental stories. Today, you have to tick every box that a publisher wants if you want to be published. Today, a publisher needs to sell an average of 1 million books to break even. If they think your book can't do it, it's on to the next book that maybe can. Today, a publisher is looking for a reason to reject you, not a reason to accept you. It's also important to keep in mind that publishing, at least not traditional publishing, has not yet reached its final form. It's an industry still very much in transition, and 10, 20 years from now, I might have another update to this video, presuming YouTube is still around. The good news is, you no longer have to rely on the whims and volatility of traditional publishing to be a successful author. You have the unprecedented opportunity that no other author in history has ever had to take control of your own career and future with indie publishing. If writing and publishing your own book is something you're interested in, you can check out my Novel Writers Club at the link below. Remember to like and subscribe to get more videos on writing and publishing in this brave new world. Until next time, this is Devlin Blake saying right on.